Greetings. I thought I'd make just a fun video where I swap places with the sun and the moon, and so maybe we put the sun at 237,000 miles from us and rotates around the Earth, and the moon is 93 million miles away and it's 400 times bigger than the sun, but 400 times more away. And of course, I don't really believe in the helio-nonsensical model, but just wanted to share this idea and get into it a little bit here. And visually, there's nothing you could see that would disprove that model. You'd have to use your own discernment. And it's just kind of like now, if you use your own discernment, you see that the sun and the moon are the same size, but we're taught that no, you silly person, it's not like that. And the moon is 237,000 miles, or sometimes it's 240,000 miles away, it depends. And but you can zoom in and see detail with a camera or something. And so if we use like this here, for example, I could say, see this hot spot right here, and all these photos from high altitude balloons or space or whatever will show a hot spot. And I could say, well, that's because the sun. Now I know that the sun is local, but I could say, well, the sun's orbiting us, and that's why we have the hot spot, and the moon's 93 million miles away. There's nothing you could really visually see that would disprove that, and it's interesting because the sun swings out from the equator at 23.4 degrees, going from tropic to tropic, and the moon makes the same path as the sun, basically. It goes from tropic to tropic, but it does it in the moon does it in 28 days, as where the sun needs 365 days. I did a whole video on the path of the moon, and now this is one of my points here. The moon actually, over, I think it's a 62-year period, it actually swings out a little bit beyond the tropics and actually gets out to 28.7 degrees and then starts to work its way back in. So it's no problem. All you have to do is change the tilt of the Earth. Instead of the tilt of the Earth being 23.4 degrees, just change the tilt of the Earth to 28.7 degrees. And that solves that problem. And you can keep building on that more and more, and you could prove away everything or disprove anything that gets in your way, and you could build a model of a solar system where the moon is 93 million miles away and this is 237,000 miles away. And so you have to use discernment. This is, obviously that's not true. That's not what I believe, but I think that the heliocentric model is a lie. And I think this is where it's a good example of, let every man be a liar and God be true. I think a lie is always changing, but the truth remains constant. And we see that with the heliocentric model. One of the biggest problems that are just now being discovered is the problem with the ether. More and more scientists are coming out, I see all the time, where they're talking about the ether, which is voltage or electric pressure. We live in a pressurized system, just like we live in an air pressurized system. We also live in an electric pressurized system, and this is what creates gravity. What we experience is gravity. And all this, but you can't have the Big Bang and the ether side by side. So now they're coming up with gravitrons. That's a real thing now, and dark matter and all this nonsense. And I'm starting to learn more about how the atomic structure is not correct either, and everything is electrical, including the sun and the moon. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic. The point is, you could swap places with the sun and the moon, and I've thought about it, and you can make excuses for everything, even the phases of the moon. You could say that as the sun comes around, it lights this up, or if you want to say that it gives off an electrical charge, which it does anyway, actually, and it hits the moon a certain way. You could do whatever. It's just people grow up hearing a certain thing and they don't want to hear any other thing about it. And The deception on this heliocentric model is just really bad. And what inspired me to make this video was I saw some, I'm always looking at astronomy stuff and physics stuff, and I saw some astronomy software for kids, and it had a wizard on it. And I was like, why the hell does it have a wizard on it? And then I remembered about the 1902 movie. I think many consider this to be the first science fiction movie, A Trip to the Moon, 1902. And it's really weird. It starts out, I actually recorded it and I couldn't even stand to watch it. It's so ridiculous. But this is a room full of wizards, okay? And then a grand wizard comes out here in a little bit. He's got a sun and a moon and all this on his big robe and what I call a dunce hat, but I guess I call it a wizard hat. He draws out here going to the moon and they all cheer. And then when they get there, there's demons on the moon, and it's just really, really bizarre. And so the Earth probably looks a little more like this, and I know this is like super freaky. Nobody thinks that, you know, the Earth is a pancake in space. You have to change your idea of space in the helio-nonsensical model. But you can see this here in the middle is Earth, and I'm going to go a little broader here too, so just hang with me for just a minute. And I did a video, I think I called it the 1,000-year-old map that was found or something like that, where I talk about this outer area, and I talk about Mercury and Venus that orbit out here. And Mercury and Venus go through phases like our moon does. And of course we're told, well, that's because they're between Earth and the sun, and so they go through phases like the moon. Well, if Mercury and Venus was between Earth and the sun, I don't think you would ever see Mercury and Venus. It's more logical that they orbit out here beyond the Antarctic ice wall. And so, yeah, it's, I almost cringed to bring this up, but I'm just starting to, getting ready to read this book, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall. Remind me of the old story about the Iron Republic, where if you familiar with that story, basically some people saw that this world was becoming corrupt, and so they left beyond Antarctic and live out here and still live there today. And so this story is kind of that same thing. Now let me just stop right here for just a second, and please understand, I am not being promoted by this author, the publicist, whatever. They have no idea that I even exist. I am not getting any kind of kickback or anything. When I get done reading this book, I will do a book report on it, just like I did with the Walter Russell. And so if people are busy, they can watch my video on that. So I'll have that coming out, but I'm not being paid anyway by these people. They don't even know I exist. But I wanted to use this, and I cringed to even bring up this book because I didn't want people to think that I'm trying to promote something here. I'm not. But this was a great representation of more of how extraterritorial places exist. This is us right here. I know you can't see it. And so, you know, how far on does it go on? I don't know. But it's more like this, not what we're told with the heliocentric model. It's just pagan godlessness is what it is. The Helios, the sun god. You know, it started long ago, and it's still in the mainstream today, and people don't even realize it with Apollo and Helios and all that crap. Like I said, they had to get rid of the ether and many other things. They want a godless Big Bang system. It's all theory. Atomic structure is also a theory, and everything's electric. And I've got videos coming up where I'm going to dive into that a little bit better, where it's a electric system, not atomic. But anyway, the point to this, and I'm sorry I keep getting off topic, but I've got a lot I've been thinking about here lately. And like I said, seeing that wizard for little kids just really just rubbed me the wrong way. Just can't stand it. And then you using names like Helios and all that crap. But you could replace the moon and the sun, swap them around, play it out in your mind. I mean, it's just like the model we're given today. It's one excuse after another. You can never disprove it. I mean, there's nothing visually you can see in our realm standing on Earth. If you could say the moon was 93 million miles away, and if that's what you were taught when you were a kid, I mean, there's a lot of people that would defend it to their dying breath that that's the way it is. And you have to use discernment. Um, when you look at the sun and the moon, you can visually see that they're the same size, they're local, they're rotating above us. But anyway, the point is to this is they could swap places, and there's nothing you can just keep changing the story, just like they do now. That they get into trouble, they get caught with a lie, they just change it a little bit. Gravitrons, that's the answer, stuff like that. But if you don't believe me about gravity, though, it's more of like just a quick teaser. It's more of like imagine the ground has a negative charge, air has a positive charge, which is true, actually. I mean, anybody that's investigated would admit that. But like as you jump up, then you become positively charged, and it's like two positive magnets pushing against each other. And so that's really how gravity works, and it has nothing to do with the curvature of space-time. Um, uh, Now I am really getting off topic, but anyway, just think about the moon thing. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. What inspired me was just all this wizardry and the heliocentric system, and it just kind of made me sick. And I was like, and I don't know how if that I can really justify combining about the moon, but I guess my point is, it's just fun if you swap them around. And like I said, there's nothing you can visually see that would disprove that this moon is 93 million miles away, if that's what you were taught. It's kind of silly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ramble, but I just had a lot I was thinking about, and so I decided just to hit record and just put it together and see what happens. Hey, thanks a lot for watching, and got some other great stuff coming up. Have a great day.